Hey there, my name is Spud Jones and I'm from Venue Rescue. Today's topic is about due diligence, and I'm actually going to be doing this one solo. You'll notice that my wife Sheena is not with me, for she sometimes will be doing her own topics and other videos in the future as well. We actually work together. So one of the reasons I'm talking about due diligence is because how Sheena and I work. She does a lot of behind the scenes stuff. She does the financials, marketing, Facebook groups too. And like we said in earlier videos, I am the guy who swings the hammer around here. I do a lot of setups, I do all the maintenance. So due diligence kind of steps on my ground. I build things, I fix things, and I make sure things are running so it's pleasing to the eye when people get here. Some people might ask, what is due diligence? And due diligence is something, even when we start flipping houses, we would do due diligence on checking out what works, what is legal, how is things going, to make sure it was a good process, otherwise to make sure it was a good buy for us. Now, due diligence by a term is investigating to exercise and take care of a reasonable business or person is normally expected to take before entering into an agreement. Now, that being said, when we bought this business, we did not do that. Why? Well, there's a long story behind it, but one of the things we did when we were house flipping and all that too, we were buying houses wholesale. So we already knew that they wouldn't get a loan on a bank. When we purchased this business, we bought it actually owner finance, and the reason why we bought it owner finance was Sheena and I didn't come from money. We actually had to make all of our money on our own to get the purchase and the down payment for this business too. So we actually worked our hands to the bone, and we put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears to get to where we are now. So due diligence is something I always recommend it. When you buy a house, there's going to be a furnace that goes out. There's going to be something that goes out. But the thing is, before you purchase that, if you have someone that you hire to go look at the property, the house, the business, you're going to know what's going to be the issues. So when we purchased this business, we bought it as is, correct? So that means we signed the agreement. We didn't actually have the money because we thought, you know what, this owner finance, we're going to trust the owner. We're going to do what we got to do to get this down and us be owners of a venue. Yeah, we learned a lot of lessons, and we're going to tell you about some of those too. So some of the things that in a business, especially in a venue is very different in certain areas than buying a home for due diligence. One of the things we got to know too right away is there's a big mistake we made right off the bat, and it was called a fire suppression system. Now later on I'm going to make videos and probably interview someone. What is a fire suppression system? And basically that's a safety thing in case there's a fire in your building, and that will actually, there are sprinklers that puts out a fire until a fire station can actually get here to save the people from the burning building. When we purchased this building, we did not realize that it was out of date, it was obsolete, and actually 4 months after buying the business, I got a call from the fire marshal saying, hey, it's time for us to come out and do our annual inspections. Sounds good, man. So we brought him out here, and he shut us down, and that tore into our bank account by thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. If we would have done the due diligence on that, I would have had that fixed by the previous owner. And knowing that what we do know now, we could have saved a lot of money. Another thing too is like some things for owning a business, we had to look at too when we got this place. I didn't realize that, well, back up a little bit. We purchased the place in December, so we weren't watering lawns. All the lawn sprinklers are out. When it finally came springtime to start turning those things on, making sure we had green grass around here and making everything look pretty, the motor was burnt out. We have 25 stations that actually takes 8 hours for this whole place to be watered. That had been burnt out. We had a pump in our lower pond that actually floods all the water to the top pond in order to make this place green. All of the pumps were out, all the sprinklers were out, and we realized after we talked to the landscaper that it hadn't been working for 2 years. If we would have hired the right people to come look at the right things, they would have said, hey, let's get these fixed before you purchase the business. Another thing we have too, I mean, our building is 7,000 square feet. We can host up to 350 people, correct? So we're in Texas, we get times that we're up to 120 degrees, well, outside, I mean, with humidity and all that. I mean, it's never more than 105, but meaning on that, you get a lot of people in here, AC units is a big thing. And if you want to have bad reviews on Google about your event venue, trust me, just don't crank up the AC and you're going to get a bad review on someone's wedding day. So one of the things too we've had issues with is our AC unit. Was it under warranty? No. Was it installed incorrectly? Yes. So that's one of the big fixes we also had to go to. Another one too, electricity. Now, depending on how the building was built out and everything too, we found out also is that a lot of our buildings is on the same circuit. So when you try to plug into multiple outlets throughout the building, it'll blow out things. So think about someone on their wedding day, they're coming on in here and they have a mariachi band, then they have a DJ, then they have a full band. They all try to plug in. When they start doing all the flashy lights and all the music starts going, out goes the electricity. So you're in the back just flipping breaker boxes. Now one of the things too is if you want to transform a place like this, my dream is to actually transform it into a concert hall. We have to do a lot of upgrades on electricity. I mean, you can't plug in a full band into one 120 outlet. It's not gonna work. So when we do have full bands play here, until I get that upgrade, we actually have to pull in big generators, which works, but it's not ideal because it's something else that you have to pay almost $500 a day for a rental. You have to go pay for the gas to go get that generator. And also 3, you gotta just make sure you have gas and put it plenty far away from the venue so you don't hear this diesel engine cranking all night. So one thing too, also, when you are doing due diligence on a venue, you got to make sure you understand appropriately your occupancy rate. Now that kind of goes along with what I talked about first. A person who does your fire suppression system is a fire marshal. That man will come in, and because he works for the government, he will do this for free. He will actually come to your venue if you call them up and say like, hey, I just bought this venue. Can you come see what my occupancy rate is? Can you see how many tables and chairs and standing room I can have per event, whether it's a concert, whether it's a birthday party, whether it is, well, in our case, a wedding this time. And they will actually go out, they'll draw out the square footage, they'll look at everything, they look at your exit signs. It's a little nerve-wracking, but once you get to know them, you have to understand they're there for the public safety, not to shut you down. But one of those things too is they will actually give you real legit documentation, so that way you can post things up by your bar, you can post them on your doors next to the entrance so people actually know. One of the things too, just a prime example of us not paying for due diligence, is this is what we got from the previous owner. Now if you read that a little carefully, it's not the most legit thing. It was something they just printed up and stuck in our file and then gave to us when they signed the contract. Gave that to the fire marshal. Boom, he said, that is not correct at all. We don't even know who that guy is that they just wrote up on the top. It just says his first name. But hard lessons learned, right? So other things too, you want to look into septic tanks. Septic tanks are big. When you have 350 people, you got to understand how to do diligence. Can your septic tank actually handle 350 people for an 8-hour event? What's going to happen if they're located in the wrong area? What's going to happen after a large rainfall? Now we're in Texas. When we get a lot of rain, like we just did the last couple days, the septic tank backs up a little bit and it makes it a little smelly. Some things are they completely legit? Yes, they are, but I wish they would have built the septic tanks a little bit further away. One of them also we have an issue with is a septic tank to one of our buildings is also on another person's property. Now, if we would have done the full due diligence on how someone scout all these things out, we would have known that, 1, why is that on someone else's property? 2, does that person even know? 3, if that person sells their property and our septic tank is on there, what's going to happen? You know, and that's something we're going to have to jump over that hurdle in the future. And it's another hard lesson learned. So, I mean, the list can go on and on and on about the due diligence of a property. I mean, like I said, like our experience, Sheena and I's experience are in home flipping, you know, in the venues, and then also other things such as financial due diligence too. And Sheena will cover that in the back. That's like when you purchase a business, you look through the books, you see like how are they making their money? Were the people that they actually employed, were they actually legitimate employees? Like when there was an expense, how did they pay for that? Were they paying through another like business that they owned, lots of other things too. Now, one of the things too, if you ever look into owner financing, one of the biggest things, and this got to come down on you, is you need to personally look into the person you're purchasing a venue from. You're purchasing a business from, whether it is a hotel, gas station, 7-Eleven, convenience store, venue, or home. If you're doing any of that owner financing, I strongly suggest you do a full investigation of the person. Also look into what other businesses they owned. Sit down and talk with them multiple times. It's an interview process because that person doing owner finance is your bank. Now, if that person has defaulted on other payments or been fired from other businesses or been sued, let me tell you, if they've been sued by other businesses that they've owned and they also own the business that they're selling to you, you might want to look into that red flag. But other than that, due diligence can go into everything. It's covering every single base. It's outside, inside, background, like anything you can think of. Due diligence is a very, very important thing. Now, if you have any questions on this type of stuff, please feel free to reach out to Sheena and I and Venue Rescue. And some of the things that we do offer is, like, if you're planning on purchasing a venue, a home, or anything like that, we will personally, especially me, I'll actually personally come out there and walk with you through the property if you'd like to. I might be able to see some red flags. She might be able to see some red flags. Also, if you guys just want to have a phone call, call us. We can definitely answer questions, because one of the reasons why Sheena and I started this Venue Rescue is for the fact is we jumped through a lot of hoops and we did not know what we were doing when we took this leap of faith. Like you said, we were started from here and we went up to here, and all along the way we learned lessons the hard way. And we just want to help the general public and anyone that has this dream of doing something like we're doing. We want to help people, because the last 2 years, let me tell you, it's not all unicorns and rainbows. It's been pretty stressful and hard, but we're getting through it and we can help you out. So anyways, thanks for tuning in. I'll be updating with more videos later on. Sheena will too, and we have topics, and we'll be going over very many different topics. All right, take care, and thank you for everything.